To K.P. Pobodonostev, Staraya Russa, May 19th, 1879. Dear Sir, dear and much esteemed Konstantin Petrovich, although it is only May 19th today, my letter will not reach you before the 21st, and so I hasten to send you my best wishes for your Saints' Day. I recall, by the way, that exactly a year ago I came to see you in the morning on this very day, but it seems as if it were only 2 or 3 weeks, at most a month ago. That is how impermissibly fast time goes by and is running out on us. Here it is a month since I've been here, living quite alone with my family and seeing hardly anybody. The weather has been fine on the whole. The bird cherry and the apple trees have shed their blossoms and the lilac is in full bloom. I've been sitting and working, but I haven't done too much. Still, I have sent off half of one book, 2.5 sheets, for the May issue of Russian Messenger. But I'm sitting waiting for the proofs, and I don't know what will happen now. The thing is, the book in question, called Pro and Contra, is the culminating point of my novel, and the theme of that book is blasphemy and the refutation of blasphemy. Well, I have finished and mailed off the blasphemy, but will send the refutation only for the June issue. I have come to grips with the blasphemy as I myself felt and understood it most keenly, i.e. precisely as it manifests itself now in Russia among almost our entire upper crust, and principally among the younger generation, i.e. the scientific and philosophical refutation of the existence of God, having been already discarded. The present-day serious socialists no longer bother with it as they used to throughout the last century and the first half of the present one. Instead, they vehemently deny God's creation, God's world, and its significance. It is only this that contemporary civilization finds nonsensical. Thus, I flatter myself with the hope that, even on such abstract grounds, I have not been unfaithful to realism. The refutation, not a direct one, i.e. not in a face-to-face argument, will come as the last words of the dying elder. Many critics have reproached me for generally choosing, as it were, wrong themes for my novels, themes that are not realistic, etc. But I feel, on the contrary, that there is nothing more realistic than precisely these themes. I did send it off to them all right, but now and then the thought crops up, what if, for some reason or other, they suddenly decide not to publish it in Russian Messenger? But enough of that. If something hurts someone, he keeps talking about it all the time. I read the newspapers here, but I cannot understand what is going on. They simply don't say much. Only yesterday I read in New Times a directive from the Ministry of Public Education that teachers were to refute socialism in the classroom. Does this imply then that they should get into arguments with the students? It is impossible to imagine anything more dangerous. When I arrived here, there was a lot of talk about an officer, Dubrovin, of the Wilmenstrand Regiment, which is stationed here. He was hanged. They say he kept trying to act like a madman up till the very moment when they put the noose around his neck, although he didn't really have to put on an act, being really and beyond all doubt quite insane. But when we begin to try to form our opinions from an example that is held up before our eyes, we are surprised for the 100th time by 2 things that simply refuse to change in our country. To be precise, if we were to consider Dubrovin's regiment by itself on the one hand, and on the other Dubrovin himself, we would find a difference so great that they would appear like creatures from different planets. And yet, Dubrovin lived and acted in the firm belief that everyone in his entire regiment as well would suddenly become exactly like him and would share the self-same views on this matter. On the other hand, we say straight out, these are madmen. However, these madmen have their own logic, their own theories, their own code of behavior, even their own God, and all that could not be more solidly ingrained in them. No one pays any attention to that. It's all nonsense, they say. It's like nothing on earth, and therefore must be just nonsense. We have no culture of our own. Everyone else does, dear Konstantin Petrovich, and if we don't, it is through the fault of that nihilist Peter the Great. He pulled it up by the roots. And since man does not live by bread alone, our poor cultureless fellow is forced to invent something as fantastic and preposterous as possible, just as long as it does not resemble anything he knows. And so, although he has borrowed it all wholesale from European socialism, even there he has managed to change it to the point where it no longer resembles anything at all. And now I have filled 4 pages, and imagine, dear Konstantin Petrovich, I have written about just those things I didn't want to write about. But that cannot be helped now. I vigorously shake your hand and send you my most sincere wishes for all the best and for many, many happy returns. Now, the idea that you will receive what I have written here and read it pleases me. If you were to write me even a few words, it would bolster my spirits tremendously. When I came to see you last winter, it was also to restore my spirits. So may God send you peace of mind. I know of nothing better that one could wish a man in our times. My profound respects to your much esteemed wife, your fully devoted and faithful servant, F. Dostoyevsky. My address, Staraya Russa to F.M. Dostoyevsky. And now the footnotes. The directive from the Ministry of Public Education had warned of, quote, the pernicious infection of harmful anarchist rather than socialist doctrines, and emphasized the duty of teachers to strengthen in the pupils entrusted to them feelings of loyalty to the throne and respect for religion. Lieutenant Vladimir Dmitrievich Dubrovin, 1855 to 1879, had been under police surveillance because he was suspected of having some connection with the assassination of Mezentsev. See letter 127. When military police entered his apartment, he put up armed resistance, and when he was arrested and carried out of the house, he harangued the onlookers, urging them to kill czars and emperors. Even in jail, he continued to make inflammatory speeches, and at one point he tried to commit suicide. On the basis of medical testimony, the military court declared him sane, and he was sentenced to death by hanging. Dostoevsky's remarks about culture and socialism in Europe and Russia seemed to echo the thoughts that had been expressed by Gradovsky in two articles that had been published in Russian Discourse earlier in 1879.